ang unreleased appropriation, meaning na-appropriate na, nandyan naman nakalagay, 101.43 billion, never na-release. And that is why the total amount due is 292 billion pesos, almost 1/3 of a trillion. So nagtataka tayo, pinagmamalaki, 3 million ang nakinabang sa zero balance billing. Baka naman kung na-release to, baka naman 10 million ang nakinabang sa zero balance billing, hindi ho ba? Kailangan kompleto po ang figures natin kasi baka naman hindi nire-report sa presidente ang katotohanan. Hindi ho fair yun. So if PhilHealth received the funds that are legally mandated to collect, they could have reduced out-of-pocket expenses of Filipino patients. Yung nilalabas sa bulsa ng Pilipino, nabawasan sana. Pwede rin ma-expand ang benefit packages dahil maraming package hindi covered. Malalaman mo na lang, ay, hindi pala covered yung sakit ko. Ay, yung ganito palang klase. Sorry, hindi kasama. At yun din pong premium subsidies for indirect contributors na laging kunukulang katulad ng mga indigent and senior citizens, makokompleto. So, out-of-pocket spending and zero balance billing. Access to healthcare must also include protection from financial hardship. In 2024, sabi, 42.7% of Filipino household pay 42.7% of the country's current health expenditure. So meaning, labas ng pocket nila yung 42.7% ng gastos. Ano ba yung standard? Well, WHO says to achieve universal health care, a country's citizen should only be paying around 15 to 25%. So ang goal is 15 to 25. Di naman zero. Siguro kung upper income na tayo, baka zero na. Pero ang goal lang naman is hanggang 50 to 25, 42 po tayo. So sobra-sobra pa ang ina-out of pocket ng kababayan natin. Siyempre, kung mahirap ka, wala ka talagang pangbayad. So, I'll take time to share this story. I've shared it before, but it is worth sharing again. There's this place that I frequent when I need to be inspired. It's called the Tuloy Foundation, where Father Rocky and his team take care of either orphan children or children who are in need of a safe home. Many of their children come from Mindanao, where their families, their villages are in conflict with the law. Anyway, and they also support street children. So there was 2 boys who were there. And the older boy, 2 brothers. The older brother was maybe 11 or 12. And his younger brother is probably 6. Duling yung kanyang kapatid. So, pinakilala sa akin ni Father Rocky. And then, sabi ni Father Rocky, oh, ayan, sabi ni Senator Pia, sasamahan ka daw niya para magpatingin, para yung mata mo magamot na. Tapos sabi nung kuya, hindi sumasagot. I would have thought na, yay, di ba? Parang maayos na yung paningin ng kapatid ko. Hindi sumasagot si kuya. So, I was like, ayaw mo ba? Hindi naman masakit. Tsaka okay yan. May bayad ho ba? Kasi wala akong pera eh. Imagine an 11-year-old. Immature in many ways, but mature enough to know wala silang pambayad. So, that is the state of the nation. For many children, for many families. The president reported that the expansion of zero balance billing, which he said already benefited nearly 3 million patients, he mentioned that in his statement. That was already mentioned last year. And it took a week or even longer for the then Secretary of Health to explain that this only applied to DOH hospitals, DOH hospital wards. So meanwhile, the LGUs all over the country nataranta kasi syempre, yung mga constituents nila pupunta sa LGU hospital, nag-e-expect ng zero balance. Hindi naman available ang zero balance doon kasi kaka-launch lang ng program. So yun nga, it took a few weeks, finally, na-clarify na DOH hospital wards lang. Inulit po ngayon. Naiintindihan ko po yun, dumadaan po tayo sa, ano ba tawag doon, pag tinetesting pa natin yung program, piloting pa lang. Naintindihan ko po yun. Pero ito yung reality natin. Out of more than 1,200 government and private hospitals nationwide, zero balance billing is available in only 87 DOH-run facilities. And for GOCC specialty hospitals and 6 LG hospitals that are now being piloted. So wala pang 100. So 1,100 other hospitals do not have zero balance billing. Again, hindi naman kailangan agad-agad, but i-announce natin to eh. Iklaro natin kung ano yung state of the nation natin. More than 1,100 hospitals do not have zero balance billing. So, these are the details. A vast majority of our country's healthcare capacity, including 346 LG-run hospitals and 864 private hospitals, do not have zero balance billing. So ang mga kababayan natin, pag yan ang napuntahan nyo, sorry po, wala pong ZBB doon. This narrow scope is further compounded by geographical imbalances. 40 out of the country's 82 provinces do not have a single DOH hospital. So, 40 provinces, walang DOH hospital doon. Eh di paano? Sasakay ka ng tricycle, kalabaw, jeepney para pumunta sa kabilang probinsya para maghanap ng DOH hospital. That is the reality. Again, alam ko naman it takes time, pero we have to be honest about where we are. The 87 DOH hospitals are concentrated in only 42 provinces and major urban centers. As a result, patients in underserved provinces must travel 3 to 4 hours across municipal lines just to reach a facility that offers zero balance billing. In urban areas like Metro Manila, bed capacity is predominantly provided by private hospitals, which far outnumber regional public facilities. So kung taga Metro Manila ka, mas konti pa rin. Madami na nga ang tao, mas konti din ang DOH hospital. Coupled with low bed-to-patient ratios and chronic overcrowding, relying solely on 87 DOH facilities is simply not enough. As such, in the 2026 budget, we had to push for additional funding. Funding, additional, amendment, tawagin yung amendment, tawagin yung insertion, kahit ano pang gusto nyo itawag. Pinagmamalaki ko, na pinaglaban ko ang additional funding sinuport ng ating chairman, now Senate President, ang additional funding for ZBB, 3.3 billion operation of DOH hospitals in Metro Manila, another 6 billion operation of DOH regional hospitals and other health facilities, and 1 billion for DOH Universal Healthcare Fund for zero balance billing. Kasi yung pondo nun, kulang talaga. Okay, I move on to another topic. Human resource for health shortage. However, facilities cannot function without health professionals. The Philippines continues to face a serious shortage and unequal distribution of doctors, nurses, pharmacists, dentists, psychologists, and allied health workers, particularly in rural and underserved communities. WHO estimated a domestic shortfall of around 200,000 health workers, while approximately 1/3 of licensed Filipino health professionals are working abroad. Mag-aral dito, naghanap na ng ibang future sa ibang bansa. As a consequence, the Philippines has only 21.2 healthcare workers for every 10,000 people as of 2026, far below WHO's benchmark of 44.5 health workers for every 10,000. So more than kalahati yung kailangan, more than double yung kailangan isupport ng isang health worker sa recommended ratio. This requires sustained investment, which this representation has advocated through the expansion of medical scholarships under the Doktor Para sa Bayan. At kasama ng maraming nating kasamahan dito sa Senado, tayo ho ang nagpupush niyan. Maraming salamat sa Senate. Additional medical schools and investment in allied health. When we passed this law, there were only 8 medical SUCs. Today, we have 28. I am so proud of the Senate for pushing for this. It is a collective effort of this body. We have also been pushing for more science labs because kailangan ng doktor ng mga partners in healthcare. So lahat ng allied health, yan naman ang kailangan natin din pagtuunan ng pansin. Nabanggit ko na nga yun, may shortage tayo sa pharmacy, sa therapy, occupational therapists, physical therapists, sports, sa speech therapists. Lahat po yun, kulang na kulang. Lab technician, yung kumukuha lang ng blood test, kulang po yan all over the country. And this is a whole of government approach. We need SHED. We need the state universities. We need the higher education institutions to be a part of this because saan naman natin dadamputin itong mga professionals? We have to train them. We have to encourage them to enter into these professions, and then we have to make them realize that they have a bright future in this profession, in this country. So marami pa talagang kailangan gawin, kailangan po ma-address ito. And I end on this interesting note. Today, and I've seen this a couple of times, may mga vlog po akong nakita sa Instagram ng mga foreigners na magre-relocate na daw sa Philippines because mas maganda daw ang treatment and care for children with special needs sa Pilipinas. And this, the one I saw yesterday was from a foreigner who lives in the UK. Wow! Wow! And I think that is a tribute to our healthcare workers because alam ko naman na may shortage. Alam natin yan. So may mga foreigners na namamangha pa nga sa nagagawang trabaho ng mga health workers natin despite the fact that sila ay overworked and underpaid. So congratulations talaga sa mga health workers natin. Okay, I go to another example. I'll try to keep this short because you've all heard me talk about this. The vape epidemic. Data from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute reveals the rapid growth of youth vaping from 2015 to 2023, which recorded an increase in e-cigarette use of 0.8%, meaning less than 1%, to, guess what? 39.9%. Practically 40%, almost half of the youth are now vaping. Something that never even existed 10 years ago. So, I have come to believe that the true measure of progress is not in labels or statistics alone, but in whether our children are healthier, safer, better educated, and equipped with opportunities to succeed in this life, the life na tayo naman ang gumawa para sa kanila. A few weeks ago, the World Bank upgraded the Philippines to an upper middle income country. Paano ba ang visualization natin pag sinabing upper middle income country na tayo? Seriously, dear colleagues, indulge me, close your eyes, and imagine what that country looks like. So I had more time to think about it, so I don't have to close my eyes, but really I challenge you. Di ba ang naiisip natin, blue skies, parks, happy family, right? That's always the vision. Happy family, grandparents, everybody healthy, parents that can provide for their children, 3 meals on the table, kaya umuwi ni tatay o ni nanay ng matinong oras na hindi naubos yung panahon niya dun sa traffic na 4 na oras na hindi siya makasakay dahil maayos ang transportation system, o kung sa probinsya man sila nakatira, meron man lang, katulad ng sinabi ni Senator Alan, may tren man lang doon, may bus, kung ano man, pwedeng mag-enjoy ng weekend. May mga sidewalk, bike lanes, park. Parents are watching their kids play sports or watching their kids perform in a concert. Di ba yan ang magandang weekend? Tapos yung mga bata, kumakain ng masustansyang pagkain. At katulad ng sinabi ko, healthy ang parents and grandparents dahil meron din silang health system na madali nilang ma-access. At pag holiday, pwedeng may handa. At guess what? Pwedeng umuwi sa probinsya na hindi ubos ang sahod dahil hindi ganun kamahal ang airfare na katulad ng dinadanas natin ngayon. Pero napakahirap ipagmalaki at ipaliwanag na tayo ay isang upper middle income country kung hindi naman ito nararamdaman ng karamihan ng mga Pilipino. Ano nga ba ibig sabihin nito? It means that the country has a gross national income per capita between $4,496, so 277,000 pesos, okay, to $13,900 or 860,000 pesos, reflecting the economic size rather than individual household income. So ito po ay national economic size. Hindi po to individual income. So when you look at the vast majority that are minimum wage earners, less than minimum wage earners, informal sector, hindi naman sila nandito sa income bracket na ito. This is merely an income classification. It is a way of grouping economies according to average income. it does not reflect the struggles of ordinary Filipinos, ordinary families, because this is our reality. SWS Survey 2026 reveals that 52% or 14.5 million Filipino families identify themselves as poor, while 42% consider their families as food poor. Hindi man lang makakain ng maayos. Another SWS survey of 2026 states that 23.2% of Filipino families experience involuntary hunger in the first quarter of 2026. Involuntary po, hindi po nagda-diet, sadyang wala na ho talagang makain. According to PSA, poverty incidence, this is as of 2023, is 15.5% or 17.54 million poor Filipinos. So when we celebrate our status as an upper middle income country, ang pakiramdam ng tao, you do not see us. You do not hear us. Hindi nyo kami nakikita. Hindi nyo kami napapakinggan, hindi nyo ramdam ang hirap namin. Kaya ako po, never ho ako nagse-celebrate kahit ilang taong ko na yung naririnig na malapit na tayo mag-upper middle income. But it does not translate to a better life for most of the Filipinos. I can spend all my time on this. I will not, because yes, we can argue it is better because makaka-avail ng mas magandang mga loans and so on and so forth. Pero matagal pa ho ang effect nun. In fact, if you look at what investors are looking for, they have a long list of wants if they will invest in this country. Hindi lang basta yung makita nilang upper middle income ka. So I look to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. With only 4 years left before the 2030 deadline, and as the chairman of the Senate's Committee on